Welcome back to another episode of Tough Men of Faith, Season 4, Nick.
Season 4. You ready?
I am. If Blake can get his act together.
Good luck with that.
But it's been a while since we've been recording.
It has been.
But we got the tape rolling now. Is that what
And
you
I'm
call
ready.
it?
I'm ready for this season. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
It is.
I think we're going to do some interviews and some one-on-one stuff that like we've done in the past.
Yeah, but the big thing, so we announced it at the end of Season 3.
Yeah.
What we're going to do this time is that we're going to interview just like your average guy.
Yeah.
Like that has a job, like just to kind of hear about his job and some things, and then how faith kind of plays into that.
Yeah,
Doesn't mean they're all tough guys.
No, yeah, it's like the one today.
Yeah,
he might be a tough guy. He's built. He looks like he's tough.
He is. He does look tough. I'm just hoping his mic starts working so that he's not sitting on your lap for the rest of the episode while you guys
totally
are sharing
agree.
the mic.
This is going to get really awkward.
It's looking really awkward over there.
Yeah, the two bald guys sitting on a. Never mind.
All right. So
anyway,
we got Taylor Bell with us.
We got Taylor with us.
Hello.
And
we're going to ask him some questions about his job. And
okay.
So you said every other episode this time. We're probably going to do this.
I think, yeah. I mean, I don't know how it's going to play out, but
yeah, we have some good guys to interview too. Do some exciting things.
I'm excited about some of the interviews.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear about some of the things they do at work.
Yeah.
And then also is how kind of faith plays a part in that.
Right. So it's going to be fun.
Anything new with you before we jump into this? Like it's been a couple months.
Man, it's like all this stuff's happened. I'm like, oh, this is going to be great to talk about on the podcast. And then I'm sitting here today. It's like mind blank. So, a lot of great things have happened. It's so many, I just can't even list them all.
Okay, so, that's a good thing.
Yeah, what about you? How you been the last couple months?
I've been good.
Okay.
Yeah,
good.
I have two of my daughters are driving now, so that's a little bit different. But
I bet.
Yeah.
Man.
We'll pray for you.
And our guest today is coming and working out with me occasionally. And
nice. That's awesome. Huh, I've never gotten an invite to work out with you.
Yes, you have.
Well, I've never showed up.
that is true. That's one of the first things you said is true today.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Great. Here we go.
Tomorrow morning, 6 o'clock.
Oh, pass. I don't do 6 o'clock.
All right.
I work out in the evenings.
Let's do it after this.
Well, Rachel's cooking on that. Okay.
All right.
We'll try it again. We'll try it again soon.
We got Taylor with us.
All right.
Taylor, you doing all right tonight?
Doing good. Thank you.
So here's the thing. We really don't have a plan going into this. So.
Yeah, we're kind of winging it.
Yeah. So what field are you? Because Nick just said before we started rolling, he's like, I don't even know what Taylor does. Like, well, that's why we're here.
I've never even asked you about your job.
Yeah. So that's what we're going to do tonight. Ask about your job. So what industry are you in?
I work in exterior construction, like roofing, siding, gutters, and windows.
Okay. I didn't know that. I thought you were like a supervisor for a roofing company. That's what I thought you did.
Yeah. In a roundabout sense.
Are you like a salesman?
Not a salesman. So I got hired to be a salesman, and it was in the wintertime.
Okay.
And salesmen weren't doing so good.
Tough to sell roofs in the winter, isn't it?
Yeah, so it was like the middle of December when I got hired on.
Okay.
So they gave me the option to go through training or to get on the hourly schedule, jump in production until things got busy.
Oh, yeah.
So that was a no-brainer.
Right.
I jumped on the hourly schedule, and I never left.
Nice. Do you enjoy it?
I do. At the end of the day, when I go home, it gives me like a sense of accomplishment.
Nice.
I mean, it's stressful, but...
Okay.
Yeah. But jobs are nice, like, when you can look at, like, you did something today, right? Like, a roof got put on, siding got put on.
There's something to show for it, yeah.
Yeah. Some jobs are tough because you work all day.
Yeah.
And then you leave, you're like, what did I do
So like being
today?
a pastor.
I don't know about that.
Just kidding.
Anyways, back to... So what is an average...
You don't see the fruits of your labor until 80 years later?
Yeah.
When we all get to heaven?
Yeah, we get to heaven.
And we hope.
That sounds about right.
You hope that we're there.
Yeah.
Look at that. I got everybody audibly laughing out loud. That's awesome.
Wide is the gate.
Yeah.
Taylor,
Wide is the gate.
What does an average week look like for you? Wait, the gate's not wide to heaven.
No, that's not what you said. You said wide is the gate.
Yeah. What does an average week look like for you?
Well, Monday I usually start 3 different jobs, and I hope that they're done by Wednesday. So Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday I'll kind of drive by the jobs, make sure the crews have material, make sure they're not, peeing in the backyard behind the customer's shed.
Construction workers.
Yeah, it's very construction-y stuff. It normally looks like a disaster on the job site the first day. Then as the days progress, they clean up. So then middle of the week, I try to start 2 or 3 more new jobs. Hopefully by Friday, everything that I started is wrapped up. And then sometimes after the jobs are done, I'll have to go set up an appointment with the customers. Amos charges a lot for their work. I'd say maybe 20% more than what the industry standard is. So they're very proud of their price tag. With that being said, the customers want a completed product when they're done.
Want everything to be as perfect as it can be.
Oh, yeah. They think we're building rocket ships. So we have to go around and take some pictures when we're done. And just a lot of it's insurance work. So I just kind of have to prove that we fulfilled the contract that the insurance was going to pay for.
Yeah, I get that. It's nice not to be the cheapest guy on the block.
Some people say that, yeah.
Yeah, I run into that a lot in my industry. People always say that they can get the job done cheaper, and I tell them I welcome it, actually.
What does the warranty look like?
Yeah, if you need to find a new guy, go find him.
Well, that's why I encourage a 12% tithe here instead of 10.
Here we go.
You need to post that somewhere.
Pastor's Big Screen TV Fund.
So you run a couple crews, right? Or you try to. So what's your advice on like keeping them happy and productive?
Wait a minute, I might need to hear this.
I think a lot of people do, right? So you lead a team at work, or like how do you keep them productive?
Or you lead a team anywhere. You lead a team in
in a ministry.
Yeah.
The first struggle I run into is they're doing something that I'm not doing, or I'm asking them to do something that maybe per se I wouldn't do, but they don't see me doing what they do. They just kind of see me asking them to do it. So for a good example, like this time of year, it's cold outside. Sometimes I'm asking them to do some crappy things like tear off wood. It's hard and they have to get nails out, things like that. So I'll show up with coffee. I'll spend $4 or $5 on coffee. Yeah. Or in the summertime, I'll get some donuts or waters. Normally they bring their drinks. So the biggest thing in the summertime is like bags of ice, but it's those little gestures that really, when I ask them to do something difficult, I don't get as much feedback. It gives a sense that I'm somewhat interested in their well-being.
Well, like you're a team player. You're not necessarily doing what you're asking them to do, but you do a little bit more than is expected or required of you in another sense.
I try to keep the wheel moving. It's inconvenient for them sometimes. I try to think about what I'd want if I was.
So you would have been great at sales. You just bring bags of ice, or you bring donuts, or you bring,
Listen, donuts will motivate a lot of people.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I learned that here, actually.
I love donuts. Yes. I bring them in for the staff here sometimes.
Do you?
Oh, yeah.
Nice, dude.
And do you have like a more productive day with donuts here?
Probably not.
I don't know. I don't think so. I end up sick because I eat too many of them, but other people enjoy them.
I've driven by Longs this week like 4 or 5 times, and I haven't stopped once. And I'm proud of myself.
Probably because you didn't have any cash. That's the only reason. If I don't stop at Longs, it's because I didn't have cash on me.
I think they take cards now.
They don't take cards.
They do now.
What?
No, they don't.
Long's Bakery.
It's a new thing.
I'm looking this up right now.
They're charging you like an extra 5%, but they
do they really?
Yeah.
They must have just started.
This happened last week. I'm with RT.
I've had to go to that. Sure. I'll look it up, Google it, but
I've had to go to that ATM many
86% sure they take cards now. Look, producer Blake's even looking it up right now because he's curious.
I don't know, but it's like on the Google search.
Stop on the way home.
It filled it out for me.
Did it?
As long as take credit cards?
I don't know.
That's probably not something to Google.
Yeah. So anyways, where we're at. Average week. So Monday you're getting your staff donuts to keep them happy?
Yeah, just to get the week started. By Friday they're ready to kill me, so I try to start off.
Yeah. What do you really like about your job?
I like that it's pretty sporadic. I like that there's chaos. I feel like I thrive in chaos. I like that there's always a fire to put out. It goes back to what I said about feeling needed or feeling accomplished.
Yeah.
If I can run, a lot of people run away from conflict or run away from upset customers.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite parts of the job is when a little bit of a conflict arises or there's some kind of chaos, something's needed right now, and I can be the go-to guy and go take care of that and then get everybody back working on track again and move on with my day.
You guys enjoy that? Like
sometimes,
the problem-solving,
peacemaking? Yeah, sometimes I do enjoy the problem-solving part of it.
Do you ever lose your cool, Nick?
I have been known to lose my cool. I don't handle it. I always lose my cool and explode, and then 5 minutes later I feel really apologetic about it. But sometimes I think that it's necessary to have the explosion. Yeah. Sometimes I shouldn't do it when people are around.
I'm with you.
I'm learning. It's a tough one because, sometimes you really just have to swallow it and move on.
No, I'm with you. I'll say, like you said, sometimes there's a necessary explosion, sometimes followed by a necessary apology.
Absolutely,
I've had to backpedal sometimes.
And it's funny, too. Sometimes if you come unglued or explode on somebody, it kind of sets a little bit of a tone for the future. And people are less willing to... or they're less apt to screw up or to let you know that they screwed up in the future because they saw how you've handled it in the past.
Yeah.
While it's a good thing, it's also a bad thing.
No, you're right.
I don't want you to hide it from me if you screw up. Yeah. I've learned a lot this year on that, actually. Something I've really struggled with.
I can relate.
Yeah. Are you guys being quick to listen and slow to speak? That's so.
No, I've started that recently.
Okay, because you guys just heard a sermon on that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. Very mediocre sermon.
Well, it's definitely a mediocre sermon, but it got the point across.
It sure did.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's not working. It's like...
No, it is working. That's why we just recently started.
Okay, so that's why we're not there.
Yeah, before I heard the sermon.
But I do think there is a little bit like how you said, like if you said like blow up or something like that. But
yeah.
I don't think like blowing up in anger for sin would be wrong. But you guys are in industries where
usually a mistake costs money.
It costs money, and you interact differently, right? So in the military, we interact with each other differently than how I do when I lead the staff at church.
Right.
And it's just expected. Like not that it's wrong, but we're more direct, we're louder, and it's like
more
hey,
name
why'd
calling.
you do this, right? And so no one takes offense to it. It's just how we interact. Like when I step into my role here
right
at the church, I don't interact that way.
Yeah.
Right? So,
Yeah, if you would be loud or
best.
direct or name calling
Yeah.
here, you would have no staff.
So it's not wrong, right? To
right.
be, I guess it knows what industry you're in.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and I think, same thing. Yeah, and me and Taylor's industry, we can laugh and joke and cut up with the guys, and we can have one level, over here, but, when things do go awry, it's easier to lose your cool, and I think that's a part that I need to, I know I have to work on, I have been working on, but I think a lot of people need to work on it.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
And I think I brought that up in the past, too, is, I don't want to lose my cool in the field somewhere, and then somebody, come across and say, you do a Christian podcast? Yeah, right.
Right.
I want to make sure that I'm not. You got
Well,
it.
I think that's going to go into kind of what we're going to talk about just a little bit today, but like, what does it look like to be a Christian in that industry that you're in, right? So if you want to ask a few questions about that, like you're a Christian, but what does it look like living on mission when you're running crews who are hanging siding and putting up roofs, right? So that type of thing, like how do you interact there, knowing that not everybody believes the same way as you? And
Well, yeah, no, that's definitely a good question, good point. Kind of like what you said about like the industry and how construction workers like interact with each other. A lot of people like view like maybe just a lot of blue collar workers as kind of like rough around the edges or just kind of more direct or like grungy with their talk, and it's kind of true. In construction, there's a lot of like dirty jokes. It's a bunch of guys. It's a bunch of men away from their wives that are trying to kind of like balance their ego between each other and things like that, seeing who's the biggest or the toughest. So there's definitely a fair share of inappropriate jokes and just kind of some stuff like that kind of goes on the job sites and even at my work.
Yeah. It's a pretty normal thing, it seems like.
Yeah.
More normal for you to be involved in it than to not be. And the guys that aren't involved in it almost get looked at sideways. Like, what's wrong with you, almost. It's a weird thing to try and be on the right side of things and to be looked down upon for that. It kind of puts you in a strange spot, really.
it's interesting though, because when you look at like First Peter, it tells us that as Christians, we're going to be called like strangers or aliens or exiles, depending on what translation you're looking at, which is kind of describing how you guys feel in your workplace.
Right.
Like Peter's writing to the church 2,000 years ago, like, hey, people are going to think you're pretty weird.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be telling dirty jokes and you aren't going to jump in on it.
Right.
Or you're not going to maybe do unethical things and cutting corners at your job. That pretty standard in the industry.
Yeah,
but
people are sharing inappropriate pictures and things, with
Right.
cell phones and everything today. It's so easy to pull something up and look at it, and it's like, I really don't want to be a part of it. And
Yep.
Well, why? Why don't you want to be a part of this? And
Yeah.
it's just, it almost blurs the lines a little bit there.
Yeah.
And trying to keep those lines.
I always think about Colossians 3:17 when we think about workplaces as Christians, where it's whatever you do in word or deed, like do it heartily as unto the Lord.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like whether you're supervising crews, you're hanging drywall,
Right.
you're interacting with the guys when you're taking a break or riding a truck together.
Yep.
As a
Yep.
Christian, you should be doing that
As if you're doing it for the Lord.
for the Lord, which also means like when you're doing the work as well, like
Right.
Working for God.
when you're sanding that or
Yeah.
hanging the siding, like
Yep.
that's really like that scripture says everything for the Lord. So
Yeah, that's kind of one of my biggest things. Is it's so hard to say that's good enough.
Yeah.
And it's like there's an industry standard, and then sometimes it feels like I go above and beyond that because I want to be better than just the standard. It's like, where do you stop at? Is kind of one of the issues we have is, it's like drywall, so it's not it's not a perfect product, but how perfect can we make it look in the end? Where do you stop? And it's something I've actually learned here recently is like you stop when you get to a point where the money that you're making is, not enough to keep going. There's a point there that you can only make this look so good, or you can only take out so many flaws before you're upside down.
Right.
Maybe it's not the right way to look at things, but it's it's end of the day. And
We run into that in siding. If you try to fix too many things, sometimes we'll do more damage trying to go back and fix something and make it perfect.
Right.
Than if we would have just left it alone and
Yeah.
walked away from it.
Yeah, exactly.
So what does sharing your faith look like at work for you? That's always a big one, people.
I'm pretty open. Always have been. Just kind of how I was raised in the church I'm in. So I always ask the crews, like, they got stuff going on I could pray for them with. A lot of the guys on my crews are younger and things like that, in their 20s. I'm a big advocate of Covenant Eyes. I show a lot of the guys my Covenant Eyes app, and I talk to them about like what they got going on their phone. And I'm pretty open, and I'm pretty close with most of them.
Yeah.
I would say maybe a couple of them are in church. I have one crew that they're part of a church plant, but the rest of them are, I'd say, don't go to church at all. But I'm still close enough with them to where I feel comfortable talking about my lifestyle and about what they do and things like that. And they're pretty open and receptive as long as I feel like they have a good sense of if you're being fake or being real or not. And, and the biggest thing with like the crews and stuff like that too is they like all bring their lunch every day, and it's always like some like Latino food or like some tortillas and beans, and I always like to like sit down with them, even if I don't eat it. Sometimes the meat looks weird, but
because it's all bone in.
Yeah, it's just sometimes some stuff's funky, or sometimes the chilies are too hot.
Right.
But I'll always sit down with them and maybe eat my lunch. So like kind of like the disciples like breaking bread together. Yeah. Like I feel like until you do that, like you really don't even have a place to really a foot to stand on to talk to them about.
Right.
It.
Yeah, it's a good place to bond over lunch, or just overeating.
It's a guy thing or a man thing or a construction thing. We like to eat.
Yep. And it's crazy the bonds that we actually, not bonds, but relationships too, that we develop with the people that we work with every day. I mean, they almost become like a second family.
Yep. Yeah, you're right.
When they haven't seen me in a couple of weeks and it's just because paths just haven't crossed or what have you. And it's like, hey, Nick, are you going to be at the job today? Because, we haven't seen you in weeks. And it's like, yeah, I guess I'll figure out a way to get there. And it's just, they're almost asking for your time. It's like, hey, can you just come and hang out for a half hour, 45 minutes? And, I'll figure it out. Or, sometime this week I will. It just, we'll get some time to actually get together. But, yeah, it's crazy. I think, like, my wife especially has a hard time understanding it. But, you develop these relationships with these guys, and then they want to hang out with you outside of work.
Right.
That's always kind of been a tougher one for her because, like you said, a lot of your crews are Latino, and so are mine. And generally their wives don't speak much English, if they do speak. So then when we go and hang out with, a certain crew or, a certain couple, and now our wives have nothing that they can talk about with each other. They're both smiling across the table at each other until one of their cheeks hurts so bad they just quit smiling and they're over it. So
been there,
yeah.
Yeah, the one thing you mentioned, Covenant Eyes. I don't know if we've ever talked about that on the podcast, but it's just a great resource for guys to use. Is that
what is that?
So Covenant Eyes, it's on like your computer, your phone, and what it does, it like looks at the websites you look at.
Yeah.
But what I like about it is you have an accountability partner.
Nice.
And they get an email that says like, hey, here's the websites they went to.
Okay.
But what makes it nice is like you guys, right? I know you're sitting in your trucks, not doing anything all day, just playing around on your phones probably while else is doing the work.
All the different reels.
So you look at all kinds of different things.
Right.
When it sends the email to an accountability partner, it kind of highlights some things like, hey, maybe here's some things you should ask them about.
Yeah.
So the benefit of that, of not just having like something on your filter or something on your phone, is that there's that accountability piece where someone's going to call you out on it.
Okay.
And so I find that really helpful because this doesn't like stop like you from viewing it. That if you tried to view it, then there's a conversation with your accountability partner.
Right. Well,
like, hey,
we've talked about it in the past too. That like for instance, pornography. It's just so easy.
Oh yeah.
It's nuts.
Even if you're not looking for it, I mean, you're going to come across something, and or you have the ability to come across something, and it's just so easy to land on.
And it opens that conversation, right? That so many times we don't want to talk about it, but so many guys struggle with it. So then you have someone who's like, man, I know you struggle with it. Right. So when you looked at that image too long, let's talk, right? Yeah. And so so it's just great. Yeah, you brought that up, and so
it's been a real tool. It's been helpful for my marriage, and then my walk of faith at work, and then our team mentioned having one accountability partner. So for that, I actually have two accountability partners.
Nice.
In this church, so it goes to two different people. So if somebody's having a busy week or something like that, the other guy will catch it. But with that being said, even through my week, sometimes it's hard to get in the Bible and get in the Word. So I not only have three, but I have four different accountability partners. I'd say two at this church and two outside of this church that weekly are texting me, asking me where I'm reading my Bible, or asking me sometimes awkward questions like, how's your relationship with your wife? How have you been talking to her this week?
Nice.
And that accountability is really kind of helps me keep me on track, in a world or in an industry that's not so faith friendly.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've not been married long, right?
No, a little bit over a year.
A little over a year?
Yeah.
Nice. Just had a baby?
Ooh, yeah. Little son.
Yep.
Look at all the hats you're wearing, man.
I know. He's had a busy year.
Yeah.
Supervisor, dad, husband, youth leader.
And he took over to youth department at the church this year too.
Talk about wearing a bunch of different hats.
It's been a lot.
Yeah, I bet.
It helps to have the accountability partners though to talk about the stuff.
For sure.
That's why I try to tell a lot of people about when you have like stress and things in your life. It helps me so much to just talk about it. Sometimes I feel like I don't even have a problem, even with like the covenant eyes and things like that, until you actually like sit down and talk about it openly. And that's sometimes when you realize that you're in sin or you're doing something wrong.
And I think we brought that up numerous times here, but kind of a battle buddy or accountability partner or a friend to lean on, or I've got a couple, same thing. A couple of guys will text and say, hey, what are you reading? What are you reading in the Bible right now? And another good friend of mine, he'll call and say, hey, how's things with your wife? How's this? How's business? How's that going? How's church life treating you? Like, how's all that stuff going? And it's good that people just ask a general question, just to kind of get a conversation going. little bit of input from a few different people really goes a long way.
Yeah, I've even heard you talk about it, Pastor, about getting feedback about your sermons and from different people and outside. I think that's...
He doesn't ask me for advice. He just...
There's no shortage of people wanting to give feedback on them. So
I think that's cool as a leader, though, that you at least, recognize that. And I think that's cool. I've noticed that from you.
I think that's key to leadership, is getting feedback from...
Yeah.
If you're able to, like your peers, people you're leading, people above you, that kind of 360 kind of...
Yeah, for sure, the 360. It's like, I'm not just asking the people that are in my immediate circle, how I'm doing, but I'm also asking the people that are above me too, how am I doing? Taking that feedback from both sides. And
that's big, is taking the feedback.
Yeah, well, for sure. And that's a hard one too, because it's not always positive.
We're guys,
Yeah,
what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
we have big egos.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to be knocked down a couple notches.
So what's your, if you could give guys, maybe you just did it, like one piece of advice that you'd leave them with for a Christian guy in the workplace?
Before you can be any type of leader, or even successful, you need to find some type of balance. Your work is an extension of your testimony, but if you don't have that balance of faith in your workplace, and then that even ripples into your home life. How do you balance work and home? It's all a big reflection of your testimony and your faith. So I go back to that. You have to have balance, whatever it is. I'm going to throw him on the bus, Chris Ward. He tells me he is able to read his Bible every day at lunch. Got an hour lunch break. Sometimes I don't even get a lunch break. Sometimes I'm in my truck, eating a Lunchable in 10 minutes and things like that. So, it changes day by day. But whatever that rhythm is, or that balance to stay connected with God, that's key.
Yeah, that's good advice. I like the balance because I struggle with that too.
Yeah. It changes day to day.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah.
Kind of eye-opening for us. Yeah. Or at least for me.
Yeah, it's good to hear about
your field. Good to hear another guy's point of view that's kind of got the same line of work and kind of walks similar paths that, I walk in life, and, just hearing things that you're doing differently that I'm not, and that's awesome.
All right, man. Thanks for coming.
Thanks again, Taylor.
Yep.
Thanks. Appreciate everybody listening, and back on this episode 1 of season 4. So
yeah,
give it a rating on the iTunes or something. Is that how that works, Nick?
I don't think so, man.
I don't know. Yeah, it is.
Man, we got to get you up to date on technology, man. We got to get you a poster, so you can read off of the poster for the closing.
Probably at the beginning, I said running a tape.
Yeah, you did say running a tape,
and it had me thinking that I was at the mall today. I don't go very often, but I had to buy a gift, so I went to the mall. So I went early. Got there at 9:00. The mall doesn't open until 10:00, I guess. But I was there.
Did you mall walk?
There's mall walkers everywhere.
I know.
So there's a couple stores open. I just went in waiting. And this lady passed me. Like, I walk fast. Like, everyone talks about how fast I walk.
Yeah. You walk so fast, like, people think you're stealing something.
Yeah. Okay. So this lady passed me, and she's older. She had a Walkman on.
Really?
With the wire running up to her headphone, which obviously they wouldn't be wireless.
I wonder what cassette she was listening to.
She had a cassette player.
Wow.
Man. I hadn't seen one in forever.
That's cool.
Anyways, that's what I wanted. I just thought of that at the end. Huh. So... All right, have a good week, guys. We're trying to wrap this up.
No, we're not going to wrap it up yet. Remember that was it Talkman? Remember the one from Home Alone where you could talk into it?
Yeah.
What was that? Was it Talkman?
Yeah, I don't know.
Producer Blake? Google it.
I don't know what it was called. I had a Walkman and a Discman.
I had a Discman, too.
You guys are a little bit younger than me, so you probably didn't have Walkmans.
No, I didn't have Walkmans.
I don't know if I had a Walkman. I had a Discman.
Yeah.
And, man, you can shake it and screw it up.
Yep.
Yeah, that sounds like one.
That's true.
Anyway. Sorry, you said Walkman, and it got me thinking about Talkman.
I know.
Anyway,
well, that lady passed me and got me thinking of the 90s. So
man.
But I was thinking today, it's like, I want to be a mall walker when I get older. Like, they're moving. They all look like they're in shape.
Huh. Put on your clergy collars and take off walking around the mall.
I don't know about that. All right. Well, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, let's wrap this up.
And we'll see you next week.
Awesome.
All right.
Thanks.
See you.